Welcome to Annette on Life, Liberty, and Happiness, a podcast where we talk about the Constitution, history, politics, and pretty much anything else I want to talk about. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. If you tell Alexa to play Annette on Life, Liberty, and Happiness, she will. So that's really cool. Check that out. Also on YouTube, if you go to youtube.com and you type in Annettes Thoughts, it will come up and you can watch the videos instead of just listening, which I recommend because it's always cool to see the visuals that we have. And today is again in sort of that other category, but it's such a great story and such a great cause that I thought we need to cover this. So today we're going to be talking with Nikki, is it Renard? Renard. See, I want to go all French on that too. But, and Nikki's husband invented a muscle-powered drill that is being used to drill water in developing countries. And not only that, but it came to him in a really interesting way. And so I'm going to let Nikki tell the story. And Nikki, you are now his, what's your role over there?
I'm Director of Public Relations.
Public Relations, right.
Yes.
And so you're on here to tell his story. I'm guessing this is more your thing. He's like the behind the scenes guy and you're in front of the scenes person.
Well, he's been telling his story for about 10 years, so I'm happy to jump in and sometimes I think I tell it better than he does too.
Cool. So tell us about your husband, John, and how this idea of this human-powered, muscle-powered drill came about.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So hi. So I am Nikki Renard, and we're located here in South Jordan, Utah. And we had our oldest son, Bryson, who's now almost 33, was called on a mission to Kenya and Tanzania. And that was 2007. And honestly, I was completely shocked that there was only 40 missionaries called from the United States at that time to those two countries. And he went there and he had a variety of experiences. Most he didn't tell me about because he knew I probably would have lost sleep over some of the worries, malaria, uprisings, being confined to his apartment. And so when he came home, we decided to go back, John and I and another son, 6 months later to see what he had experienced in Africa.
You know what, that reminds me, did you see there was recently a movie that came out? It's on Netflix right now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is it The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind?
No.
Or a different one?
Another one. This is actually about missionaries in Africa.
Oh, yes.
I wish I could remember what it was called right now, but they were basically hunted down and they had to cross the border. It's a whole story. I'll have to think of that and add it to the show notes. But they escaped, but they just through miracles, they escaped these militants that were basically anti-government, but they decided to go after missionaries. I don't know why. Anyway, that sounds similar to what your son probably went through, or at least witnessed.
That's exactly what happens. When there's an election, there's a huge uprising. And the president who was in there didn't want to be ousted. And so there was a lot of killing, and killing for them is like machetes. And it's pretty gruesome, but that happened during my son's missionary term. And so, I had to see it. I had to go back. So we went back for 3 weeks and traveled around the country. And part of that experience were people carrying jerry cans everywhere. And we were a little confused by it because why would you need to carry water to school? Or why would you need to collect water that was dirty? And we were surprised by it, but we saw a lot of extreme poverty as well as the beauty. Africans are just beautiful people. The animals, the safaris that you always wanted to go on. And so we came back to the United States, and John and I thought, we need to do something. We're a middle-class family, and, we can put a little effort into it. And he had read about Brigham Young University creating a brick-making machine. And so he called them, and the director was on vacation at the time. John remembers he was at the Matterhorn ride or something at Disneyland. And so he left his name and number and then forgot about it. Well, 2.5 months went by, and John had a dream in the middle of the night. And he jumped out of bed and he sketched this dream on a piece of paper. And so John is not an engineer. He's a finance major. We had some real estate companies, some things like that before we moved to Utah. And he sketched what he thought he could remember of the dream, you know, because sometimes they're so visual and sometimes you know something happened, but you're not exactly sure what. So 2.5 months later, well, he had the dream. He jumped out of bed, he sketched it, and then the next day is incredible. He got a phone call from BYU. So his phone number had landed on the desk of someone, head of engineering department, and called and said, hey, do you have a project for our capstone program? And John said, how did you get my phone number? You know, this is bizarre. But by the way, I do, and I would love to present it to you.
Yeah, that's so random. I'm just wondering why he would think to call John for that.
Well, apparently that phone number made it to the top of his pile. We're not exactly sure how
so interesting
that worked exactly, but we believe, you know,
that's so funny because it's thoughts are going through my head right now. Like, first of all, why an engineer wasn't given the idea. And so that tells me that probably Heavenly Father knew that John would act on this, and maybe an engineer, I don't know, maybe you might have overthought it, or I don't know, but there must have been some reason why he was chosen.
Yeah.
And obviously that phone number was placed there. I mean, these things are not coincidental. We know these are not accidents.
No, not at all.
So cool. And revelatory dreams have been kind of a theme in my life lately. I've actually had someone reach out to me and tell me I was included in his revelatory dream. And when he told me what it was, it just totally made sense to me, where it didn't make any sense to him. And so, and then I had someone else share that they'd had one. And so it's like, you know, the 2 or 3 witnesses are telling me about revelatory dreams. So I'm like, all right, yes, I'd like to have one. But anyway, this is a fascinating story.
Yeah. Well, and so they invited him to come show his paper drawing to their group of senior engineers, and he did. And he said, you know, I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about drilling wells. I just know this is what I was shown. And so I'm going to give you this little paper and go to it. And so the team worked on it for 7.5 months.
Wow.
And they tried all kinds of different scenarios, different types. At one point they were drilling in someone's backyard, you know, and 2 weeks left in the semester. I mean, we're down to crunch time and it still wasn't coming together. And where we moved from in Washington State, John was a football coach. And so he got his football talk all prepared for his team and said, you know what, guys, we need some more inspiration and more perspiration as well. And we're going to make this happen. And he went home, and the very next day they sent him a CAD drawing, and he opened it up on his laptop. There was his dream.
Oh.
And it just gave him the chills, and he started crying. He's like, this is it. This is what it's supposed to be. And we have a really cool video about this whole thing if you want to see it on our YouTube page. It's called The Creation of the Village Drill with BYU. And we created it. So that was 2009. And then we needed to test it. You know, it is an object if you don't have tried and true results with it. Mm-hmm. And our neighborhood banded together. I mean, one of our neighbors worked for UPS and they donated shipping to send it to Kenya. And we sent that drill there to Kenya and we tried it. And it drilled down and reached the aquifer. And it's 2021, and that same drill is still going today.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's because this was what year? 2010
was when our first well or borehole. I'll just say well, but in the world they say a borehole.
And it's was drilled behind you in that picture.
Yes, so let me turn you a little bit. I don't know if you can see this over here. This is our number 101.
And so that takes 4 people to turn that yellow wheel and that drills it?
Yeah, it's like the Wheel of Fortune. It's a wheel that spins.
Yeah, vowel.
Let's spin it. Yeah,
Wow,
it's super fun. And we keep adding what we call drill string, which is the pipe. We keep adding the pipe and it goes down into the ground and finds the aquifer. And then we finish it with a well. And so it can be like a hand pumped well, you know, that we've all seen. They're going like this, or it could be electric well if there's electricity, or solar powered, depending on the area. So yeah, so that was 2010, and now we're in 2021, and we have 107 drills out in 36 countries right now.
Wow. So I looked on the map and I saw where those are all at. And looks like Africa has several. And like we were talking beforehand about how I teach a class on Pakistan for BYU Idaho online. And one of the things we talk about there is how they have a lack of clean water. And so I'm just wondering if there's been any talk about putting one in Pakistan, and how does that work? Does a country come to you, or how do they get a drill?
Well, we get an email almost every day. Honestly, Annette, some organization is asking for water. We have all different kinds, lots of Christian groups. We have deaf, we have albinos.
Wow.
We have schools. We have, I just got one for a lady who has 14 orphans.
Oh my goodness.
But every day we get a request, bring water. In Pakistan, we have had several requests to bring water to Pakistan. And, you know, Pakistan is a great place because they need water, but it's just the civil unrest that makes us a little worried.
Yeah, because I've wanted to visit there, but I've had the same thought that would be a little bit.
No, even shipping the drill there. I mean, would it be there when we get there, or?
Yeah,
you know,
question. You'd have to work with government officials, I think, to make it happen in Pakistan. And yeah, I think that's the way it would have to work.
Yeah, but I mean, all over the world, India, so many more places we want to go to. We have a group now going to Tonga that we're raising funds for.
Oh, awesome.
It's new for us. But yeah, Haiti, Belize, all over.
Right.
BYU keeps our statistics for us. They have an algorithm for us. And they estimated we brought another 1 million people in 2020 clean water. So
how many people are drinking clean water now? That
over 7 million people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing that something that started out as a random dream just is now doing this? And these drills apparently are going to last for a while, since it's been 10 years since the first one came out. Have there been many changes made to the drills over time?
Yeah, well, we have a new and improved drill, we call it. So we have a group right here in Utah, Powder River, and that provides diamond bits for the drill, so they can cut through solid rock. It's amazing. We've added additional structure on the top of it. So this one is O2. I don't know if you can see that very well, but we actually have an O3 that has even more thrust power to go even better and even deeper.
I have a friend who's a mechanical engineer that creates diamond drill bits for drills. So I'll have to talk to him after.
Wow, yeah.
Because that's such a random thing to do. He used to send me pictures of the diamonds that they would use.
Yeah, we partner with Champion X, with Altera and Powder River, and creates our drills. We have just a really strong partnership with all of them. It's really awesome.
That's great.
And US Synthetics as well. I can't leave them out.
So how are these paid for then? You run a nonprofit organization?
We do, yeah. So WHO Lives is an acronym for Water, Health, and Opportunity. So with water, you know, a little statistics, we know that over 1 billion people suffer from drinking scarce and contaminated water. With health, we know that more than 3.2 million people die every year from health-related diseases, dysentery, you know, all of those things. And we know that opportunity happens when you provide clean water. We can create businesses, We can teach people to be self-reliant. And so that's what WHO is the acronym for. And so we have this nonprofit, and we have groups that buy the drill for their own profit as well. So we have a two-sided thing, a profit and a nonprofit. They have to work hand in hand together. So a lot of our drills go to other nonprofits, NGOs throughout the world, or sometimes the family foundations or something, you know, they want to purchase a drill just because they want to leave a legacy. And those types of situations, when WHO Lives drills, we always target schools and orphanages first, because we want those kids to go to school instead of walking almost 4 miles every day to get that dirty water.
Yeah, that's awesome. It keeps making me think of Pakistan, because of what I've learned by teaching this course over and over and over again, is that so many kids are out working instead of going to school. And a lot of that could change if they had an opportunity to not work, and water is a huge part of that. Also, I just saw the statistic today, but it was something like 40% of deaths there are related to bad water, or was it 40% of illnesses? Either way, it was huge, because like you mentioned before, I can't remember if it was this one or the other one I watched with you, and it but the water that they're getting that's not from deep down the groundwater, it's got
bad
stuff, yucky stuff in it.
It is so bad. Let me see if my helper can find my water. So I actually have real water from Africa. I'd love to show you. And it is so bad. It's over here somewhere surrounding me. He's looking for it. But, you know, it's water that elephants are pooping in, honestly. It's animals are defecating like crazy. People bathe in it, people wash in it. On our last trip to Uganda, we saw a milk truck full of the jerry cans. Here's the jerry can. Look at how big this thing is. Full of, they carried milk in these jerry cans to deliver it. Well, he was taking these jerry cans down to the river with the trash and the animals, washing them out in the river, ready to fill more water, more dirty water in it. It was incredible.
Yeah. They have the same problem in Pakistan. That you can see them all bathing in it. And then, of course, the sanitation system is really not great. And so it's leaching into the groundwater. And so, yeah, there's nowhere to get, no way to clean it, not well enough to drink it.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
This is water that we took from a water source. And here is my clean bottle of water, if you can compare. You know,
and they drink
it. And they drink it. They have no choice. No. There's no choice.
No.
We know you can't survive more than 4 days without water.
Right.
You know, we can survive without food, but without water, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine spending so much of your time just getting water, yucky water, and then bringing it back home.
Yes.
It's really unthinkable. So
it really is.
It's really awesome what you guys are doing. And when you go in and you put these drills in and they create wells, how long does the water supply generally last once it's been drilled?
Well, once we reach a good aquifer, it's unlimited. The water supply is unlimited.
So you're changing a village or an area for generations to come.
We really are. We really are. And, you know, I like to say that WHO Lives really gives the biggest bang for your buck. We can put in a well in a village for $5,000, and that well is going to serve us between 500 and 1,000 people. So it's going to provide water to that village as well as other communities as well. And so if you have 1,000 people, that's $5. We can give a person water for life for just $5.
That's amazing. So if people are interested in donating to WHO Lives, where would they go to do that?
So we have our website, so WHOLIVES.org, wholives.org. And we also have a texting platform that's awesome. I mean, we all look at our phones. They're on our body all the time. If you just text WHO Lives to 71777, you can make a donation right there. And if you make a monthly donation of just a small amount, that's going to have the greatest impact. Now that sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? I mean, don't we want to say we want 5,000? But actually, we're such a grassroots organization that we actually have a lot of kids that are donating $5 a month. They're going without something, going without a soda, or doing extra chores or something to provide a child with water for life. It's really cool.
You've been going into schools and doing a program on empathy, haven't you? Are you still doing that with
Yes.
COVID, or is that on hold right now?
Right. So I was doing live presentations throughout the Utah area with Miss Utah.
Oh,
Donna Talbot. She's still Miss Utah because they didn't have another pageant.
oh,
So
she
she's
got
had a
second for
2-year
Chad.
reign.
It's like, I still get to wear the tiara.
It's awesome. Yes. And so we go into the schools and you want to hear energy. Wow. Have 1,000 people scream when they hear the Lion King song and raise their hand and say, we want to change the world by helping someone get clean water. I mean, the energy was phenomenal, but we put it online now. So we made a 20-minute video. It's on our YouTube channel, and the schools in Utah have been showing it to their classrooms, and even homeschool kids are participating. So it's getting a tremendous amount of views. Kids are committing to join our Well Done team. And it's just something that I'm so excited about. The videographer did a tremendous job in making it entertaining as well as a great fun diversion for our kids.
I watched it earlier today, and I can see it's a video that kids really like. And it inspired me. And what's so great about it, well, two things: empathy. I don't think enough of our kids really understand what it's like to not live in a first world country. Like we were talking before we started recording, and how my kids like to do the whole, we're poor. Oh, because their cousins went to Hawaii for a week over spring break, right? And I said, we're not going to Hawaii. Sorry, kids. That's because we're poor. And it's like, oh my goodness. You really have no idea, do you? You don't have any idea.
Oh my gosh.
My girls are going to be watching that video this week, because I don't think most kids, frankly, a lot of adults either, honestly, because I teach this class on Pakistan, and the students all learn about what conditions are like there, where something like 2 out of 5 people don't have toilets. And it's probably worse than that in a lot of African countries that you've been into. But I don't think a lot of people really understand what life is like in a less developed country. And so it's really great, especially for kids, to be exposed to this, to see the reality of kids wearing these worn out clothes. And a lot of times they're wearing clothes that have been shipped over to Africa from America. And, like they have English that they don't know what it means. They wear some funny shirts sometimes, but they don't have any idea what it's like to just have barely enough to eat and not clean water. And so the video does that. It shows them that. It shows them what life is like in other countries. And then it gives them an opportunity to actually do something about it. And so,
absolutely. Yeah. So Annette, I have another visual aid for you. So as part of our empathy development, we introduced them to real kids, Thomas and Juliet. And these are the shoes that belong to Thomas. And he was reluctant to give us his shoes, even though we gave him brand new shoes, because these are considered pretty sturdy. No, they have the nice red clay of Africa on it. And we have the kids walk with Thomas as he collects his water. And we talk about watching out for crocodiles. I mean, none of us go to the refrigerator and watch for a crocodile, right? Right. And the dangers that they have. And unfortunately, there's so much sex trafficking that happens. Women have to trade for water, which just breaks my heart. But girls can't go to school, we know, because of that time of month, and without that clean water, they're stranded. And we know that more than 80% of the water collectors are the women and girls. And so when we change that for them, it changes everything. It really does. It gives them new opportunities. It provides water for crops. We know that chickens lay more eggs and animals have more births. We know that these women, they're powerful and they'll create new jobs because they don't have to spend so much time walking back and forth. And I mean, in that respect as well, it's completely satisfying what we're doing. And it's also heartbreaking because the need is so tremendous. It really is.
I can see that because I'm sure you could probably plant another or ship another 1,000 wells and still there would be people clamoring for them. So I think it's amazing. It's incredible. Not coincidental. Obviously, this was inspired. John was the man that was going to get the job done. And you were the woman that was going to stand beside him and help him get the job done. And you're on this end. Is he traveling a lot of the year right now to do these?
So with COVID, it stranded us. So we had 14 months of no travel. And before that, he was traveling at least 6 months out of the year.
Wow.
But you know, the great thing about COVID is that our charity did not suffer. I mean, people still showed us what their hearts were about.
Oh, good.
And our drilling teams that are in country, they became independent. So we contract with them now. We hired them.
Yay.
In country people. We're employing at least 6 members per drill to drill wells. And they're going into the communities, and oftentimes we're matching them. So a donor might say, like we had a lady from Thailand, she had a few $1,000s. So we matched a really cool school, Light Uriri with Jack Bombo in Kenya. We matched them with him. And so they got a well up front. They got $2,000 for their well, and then they're repaying the rest of the loan back in monthly installments, interest free. And why we do that is because we want to teach self-reliance. We want to teach them how to fish, you know, and once they have that ownership, that pride, if anything breaks, they're going to fix it. They know that this is our water. We can sell it to other members of other communities, you know, for $2 a month, whatever, just a small amount, but they can repay the remaining balance over 10 months, and it's working out so well.
That's awesome.
And that happened because of COVID, because we're not there.
There have been a lot of little tender mercies that I've seen come out of COVID. As much as I've hated it, I can't deny there have been a lot of great things that have come out as a result of it. And so sometimes I go off a lot online on Facebook, especially about the way COVID's being handled. And I think it's being handled really badly by governments, but it obviously happened for a reason. And I'm guessing it happened for several reasons. And so when you see those tender mercies, you have to think, okay, there were some good things that came out of COVID. And so maybe it was a blessing in disguise, really bad, big, ugly disguise. Well, I'm really glad that it's done well over COVID, because I'd hate to think of people not getting water and waiting for water longer than they have to because of that. So I'm going to link to your website and to your videos in the show notes.
Awesome.
And let's tell everyone again where they can go if they want to donate. You said it's WHOLIVES, WHOLIVES.org.
Right.
Or they can text. Tell us where the text Who Lives to 71777.
Absolutely.
And they can make a donation that way.
They can. And if you go to wholives.org/project, we have a project page of specific needs that are going on right now. So if you have something that calls to you, which oftentimes is the case, feel free to donate there. And part of your donation includes you into our Well Done community. And that community has over 4,000 members. And every Wednesday, I send out a Feel Good Water Wednesday message. So tomorrow, maybe I'll add you on there, Annette.
Honorary member. So I will be going on and donating, and I'm going to be recruiting my girls to see, because I think it's a really great opportunity for families to get together and say, what can we do? Like you talked about, what can we cut back on? What can we sacrifice? just small sacrifices to help make a huge difference in people's lives. How can you not do that? I mean, we're not poor. We're not too poor to help some people. Sorry, my teenager has been irritating me today. To help some people across the world.
Right.
I think we're going to watch this video tonight because I think we really need that dose of reality. But
let me just tell you, there's a lady in Idaho that is going without milk duds. Okay.
That's awesome.
She loves milk duds.
Hey,
and she is donating her milk dud expenditures every month.
Well, I can't do without chocolate, but I may have to go without soda. Oh, my girls would love that because they're always trying to get me off of it. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great ideas. I think a little bit of a sacrifice and making a big change is something that's awesome for all of us. And so obviously, again, this was a very inspired idea. And this is an awesome opportunity for us to serve in a way that doesn't cost us a lot, but makes such a huge difference. So I'm going to connect our link to all these links that we talked about in the show notes. And then if anyone wants to, they can reach out to you through the website.
Awesome. And you know what? We have another trip. We sent a group in February, July 11th through 17th, and also October 18th through 28th. So we have a dozen people signed up for July. We can take some more. I mean, it's something to consider.
So are these like volunteers that go over to Africa?
They're everyday citizens. They want to have the experience, and we give them quite an experience. We really do. We just roll with it. Once you're there, opportunities just present themselves right and left. So we're meeting with leaders. We're going to villages that are drilling, villages that have already received water to see what they're doing. We do a safari, a 2-day safari. The group in February saw the big 5. They saw all of the animals, including a leopard in a tree.
Wow.
And they just came back with phenomenal pictures and video. And, it's an experience that will totally change your life.
Do you take 13-year-olds?
Yes. So this group, we have a 10 and a 12-year-old going. You definitely.
Okay, we'll talk after because that's so tempting. Seriously.
Oh, I would love it. I sent my son at 14, and I don't know if I should say this, but he actually cut a head off a chicken in preparation for their dinner that night. But this trip won't be quite so rustic. I mean, sometimes we actually stay in the villages.
Wow.
But it's something that you will never see again, and that will completely make you a better person all around, in my opinion.
Yeah,
really,
that's
really
tremendous.
awesome.
Well, bless you both and all your team and everything.
Thank you.
So excited. I'm glad that we connected. So we're gonna have to stay in touch, and I want you to keep me posted on what you guys are doing. And but maybe we'll have you come on again sometime after your next trip, and you can show some pictures and stuff. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's Nikki. I'm going to try it again. Nikki Renard.
Yes. Okay. And it is French. You're right. It can be Renoir if you want. Or...
when you're eating a croissant, it's Renoir. Thank you, Nikki. And again, my listeners, you can find Who Lives, WHOLIVES.org, and check the show notes for all the links. Please do what you can. This is such a great cause, and it's just for a basic need. This is not some extra thing to make life just so much better. This is like a basic need to help people stay alive and to create a life for themselves that they didn't already have. And again, you can find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, but I really recommend you go to YouTube, youtube.com, and type in Annette Talks, and you can find it and see all the really cool visuals. So thank you for listening to Annette on Life, Liberty, and Happiness, where freedom lovers gather.